So to reach on the law of segregation, I have told you Mendel. There was various reasons that why Mendel selected garden pea plant that we have already discussed in the our previous chapter. Sorry, in the previous lecture. We have already discussed about that why he selected the garden pea plant, what were the distinctive characteristic of the pea plants which was easily detectable by the common man also. Okay, so first law of segregation we are going to understand today, that how he concluded about this law of aggregation, how he reached to this law of aggregation. For that, let me tell you, he selected the he studied about the monohybrid cross. Before I discuss about the monohybrid cross, now what is the technique of cross hybridization? First of all, let me discuss about the technique of cross hybridization. What is done by the people? What is done by, even if you want to study about the technique of cross hybridization, what you need to do regarding, okay, you know that in flowers the site of sexual reproduction in flower is, sorry, site of sexual reproduction in plant is flower. We have already discussed this in reproduction chapter, that the site of sexual reproduction in plant is flower. So we need, for studying the cross hybridization, we need flowers of two different plants. If I have told you in the chapter reproduction, that if these are the two different flowers from two different flowers, if the anther of one will get transfer, if the pollen grains of anther, pollen grain of flower one transfer to the stigma, that is the female part of flower 2, right? This is what we call as cross pollination. We have already discussed this in reproduction chapter, but still I just want to, this is what we call as cross pollination. When the pollen grain of one flower, when the pollen grain of one flower fuses with the pollen grain of another flower, that is what we call as pollination. But which type of pollination? It is cross pollination. You know, pollination, transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, that is pollination. But when the pollen grain of one flower transfer to another flower, that is cross pollination. But if the pollen grain from same flower transfer to the stigma of the same flower, if the pollen grain from the anther of flower 1 transmit to the stigma of the flower 1, then it's called as self pollination. But to reach on the law of segregation, what Mendel has to do, he has to cross pollinate. Now, to eliminate that self pollination in the flower will take place, to eliminate this, you can say, to eliminate the chance of self pollination, what Mendel do, or even what today we do. I first of all will discuss about the technique, then we will start come to the conclusion that how he cross pollinated. Okay, and what was the first, even today we, you know that in the center, if we try to examine the flower, in the central wall, this is what we call as stigma. style, and ovary. This is the female part. Stigma, style, ovary. Right. This is lies in within the center of the flower. Then outside this, you can see there are the filament and the head-like structure, which is the male part of the flower. That's what we call as, this is filament, and this is what we call as the head-like structure. That's called as anther. This is the factory of pollen grain. Right. Then there are the colored petals which cover them so as to attract the insects so that they can help in the pollination. Right. I ask each and every student to switch on their videos. This is color petal. Now, to remove the possibility, to remove the chance of self-pollination, what a person need to do? They will slowly, without damaging the flower, they will slowly remove the male part to eliminate the chance of self-pollination. Because here we need to reach on the first phylyl generation, F1 generation, we need cross-pollination, right? And to eliminate the chance of self-pollination, the flower has to be emasculated. What is emasculation? Removing the male part of the flower without damaging the female part and without damaging the petals of the flower. That is a corolla. Right? Right? So, am I audible? Okay, I was discussing about that without removing, without damaging. What needed to be done? Emasculation of flower has to be done. That is to remove the male part without damaging the female part. Then, so that the pollen grain which are traveling in the air should not stay on the stigma of this flower. Then the flower is covered with the muslin cloth. If we want to study, this is the technique which has been used by G.J. Mendel to reach to the conclusion of law of segregation. Now, how the phenotype which Mendel studied was about height of the plant and how he reached to the law of segregation. The phenotype was height. You know, height has two factors. One is small and one is tall, right? A person can be either, or even the pea plant can either be tall or small. And the phenotype which we are talking is the height. Now, if I write the genotype, let me tell you, as there are two ways. One is two varieties. One is homozygous and one is heterozygous. This we have discussed in the previous lecture also, but still. Homozygous means where both the gene are same. It's a pure plant, pure breed, where both the gene which govern the phenotype are same, then it will be called as homozygous variety. But if both the gene which govern the characteristic are not same, they are not identical, then it will be called as homozygous, heterozygous, where both the allele, both the gene will be same, where both, as I've told you, that he said that characteristic is governed by a pair of factors or pair of gene, where both the gene will be same. that is called as homozygous variety, and where it's both of them are non-identical. Both of them, both the factors are non-identical. It is called as heterozygous. It is called as heterozygous variety. So to reach on the law of segregation, he selected pure tall, or what he selected was homozygous tall and homozygous dwarf. What Mendel took was homozygous tall. He took a variety which was homozygous tall and homozygous dwarf. That both the allele, both the gene which govern the characteristic height, both the gene were tall, and here both the gene were short of dwarf plant. So he selected homozygous tall, where he crossbreeded it with the homozygous dwarf. Now, as I've told you, this is the genotype of a normal cell. But if we talk about the gamete, only one allele, one gene, one characteristic, sorry, only one chromosome will be for each, from each factor. So, as I've told you, that rest of the cells are diploid in nature. Why? Because every characteristic is governed by a pair of genes. So, where for each characteristic one pair will be present, that is called as diploid cell. But where only one gene is present out of the pair, that is sex cell. That is what we called as gamete, and it's haploid in nature. For example, if there are the 23 pair of chromosome which is present in the normal human cell, that is total 46 chromosomes are present in the normal human cell, where one pair governs each characteristic. Then what's happening in the gap, this is the where 23 pair, if I talk about human, 23 pair are present in the normal cell. But if I talk about the sex cell, that is gamete, only one, that there's only 23 chromosomes are present, one chromosome from each pair, one chromosome from each pair. If in normal cell there are 23 pair of chromosome for different characteristic which appear in the organism, but in sex cell, that is because of by the gametes, by the fusion of the gametes, the progeny is formed, and in the sex cell there is only 23 chromosome. There is not 46 chromosome, there is only 23 chromosome, one characteristic from each pair. For example, if I write down, for example, this is just an example, if I write down the genotype of each pair, if AA, BB, CC, this is 23 pairs of chromosomes are present in the normal human cell, then in gamete only one factor of every pair will be present. So that is why we say that sex cells are haploid in nature. So I hope that now it must be quite clear to you that what is diploid cell and what is haploid. If there is one pair, in normal cell there is one pair for each characteristic, but in sex cell there is only one gene from one chromosome from each pair. It contains only half the number of chromosome what is present in the rest of the cell. Okay, so this is the genotype of a tall homozygous tall and homozygous dwarf. This is the genotype of a cell which is homozygous tall and homozygous dwarf. But as you know that gamete will have only one gene from or one chromosome from each factor. So gamete will have only one. That is either it will carry the gametes. This is the diploid cell and gamete is only the haploid cell. It will contain either this T or this T will be present in the sex chromosome, sex gamete. There is also this, that is both the pair will not be present in the gamete. The pair will not be present in the gamete. It is only one chromosome which will be present in the gamete. Now there is a chance that there will be two separate gametes containing only one chromosome. So what he do is that he crossbreeded first to get the F1 generation. He crossbreed them. So there is this possibility that either this gamete will combine with this gamete or the gamete will get combined with this gamete. Or there is one more possibility that this gamete, once the sexual reproduction take place, they have the chance that they can crossbreed, they can combine with any of the gamete. So to reach on the first filial generation, we have either this can be the possibility TT, or this can be the possibility TT, or this T can combine with this T, this T can combine with this T. These are the possibility. Okay, so in this generation is what we call as F1 generation, first filial generation. And from the genotype you can conclude that all the inmates of the F1 generation will be tall. Why? Because there is the presence of dominating gene in each pair. So it will decide the characteristic in presence of a non-identical gene. This will decide the characteristic in presence of a non-identical gene. So in F1 generation, all the plants are hybrid one, but all the plants are tall. It means that the factor, which is the dominating one, will be prevalent among the first generation, right? So what was the first law? It's called as law of segregation. What does G.J. Mendel postulate? He said that there are pair of factors, pair of gene controlling each characteristic which are inherited by the sex gamete. These factors are the carriers of hereditary information from one generation to another generation. But at the time of gamete formation, which factor or gene will segregate so that gamete will receive only one of the factors. Gamete will receive only one factor, and that is what we call as law of segregation. Next is law of dominance. It is said that in this you can see all the plants of F1 generation will be tall, although it's a hybrid variety which has been obtained by crossing the tall with the dwarf, and what we have got is the hybrid variety in the F1 generation, and all the plants in F1 generation is tall, right? And they are tall because the factor which dominates the characteristic will be prevalent among the F1 generation, and the factor which is recessive one, will not be shown in the F1 generation. This is law of dominance. Means the one which is the dominating will decide the characteristic, and the one which is the recessive one, which decide the characteristic only in presence of a non-identical gene, is the recessive one. But law of dominance say that in F1 generation, it is the dominant factor, which it is the dominating gene, it's the dominant one which will decide the characteristic of the plant, which will decide the characteristics of an individual. Now, second, then to get the F2 generation, he allowed them to self-pollinate. To reach on the F1 generation, then now these are not homozygous. These are the pair of heterozygous. These are the pair of heterozygous, and what he has done, he allowed them to self-pollinate to get the hybrid, to get the F2 generation. And there is also the chance that either this T will combine with this T, this, because gamete is having only half the genetic material. So what will be the chance? This T can combine with this T, this T can combine with this T, this will combine with this, and this will combine with. So in order, this is what we call as F2 generation. This is what we call as F2 generation. Now if I want to tell you to draw the conclusion, so what will be your conclusion? Your conclusion will be that 3 among the 4 will be tall. 3 plant among the 4 will be tall, and 1 will be dwarf. That is that characteristic which has been somehow, which has been lost in the F1 generation. Because in F1 generation, this is F1 generation and this is F2 generation. The characteristic which has been lost in the F1 generation, because in F1 generation all the plants were dwarf, all the plants were tall. The cross which we started with the tall and dwarf plant, when we crossbreed them in F1 generation, the result was that all the plants were tall. That is, one characteristic was somehow lost in F1 generation, and that characteristic was the non-dominating. That was the recessive characteristic, was somehow lost in the F1 generation. But when the F1 generation, the seeds from the F1 generation were taken and sown, and then the self-pollination was allowed, the characteristic which somehow was lost in the F1 generation reappear in the F2 generation. Now if I draw the conclusion, it will be 3 will be tall, the ratio is 3 will be tall and 1 will be dwarf. In the same manner, this ratio can be applied to even 100 seeds. If we saw 100 seeds, 75% will be as such which is tall, and 25% will be as such which is dwarf in the F2 generation.